Hi everyone, thanks for tuning in. This is Cassidy,
Kendall.
And Alyssa.
and we're going to talk about how great coaching leads to great athletes. It is important to have the best coaching possible because the transition from fundamental skills to context-specific skills presents many challenges. The more observant and knowledgeable the coach is, the better equipped they are to see where improvement is needed and know what drills would be useful. In addition, they will be able to express the game's rules and goals in a way that the young athletes will understand. Also, especially after we teach you the important aspects to understand, you will be able to help young athletes overcome common obstacles involving constraints, coordination, and cognition. Lastly, after this presentation, hopefully, you will be fully equipped to prepare your young athletes for a potential future of skillfulness.
The Mountain of Motor Development explains the various stages a person goes through on their journey to become skillful. This process begins prenatally and ends with death. Once reaching the metaphorical top of the mountain, skillfulness has been achieved, which is the ultimate goal. The Mountain of Motor Development is made up of 5 stages: reflexive, pre-adaptive, fundamental, context-specific, and skillful. We'll be focusing on the transition from fundamental to context-specific.
The fundamental patterns include typical movements and patterns of coordination needed for later skill development. They are known as the building blocks for later emerging skills. This includes locomotor movements like running and jumping, object projection, which is throwing, object interception, that is catching, object deflection, that is knocking away, and fine and gross object manipulation.
For example, running is a fundamental pattern, but in a context-specific setting. Running is critical because of playing a sport such as basketball.
The transition from the fundamental pattern stage into the context-specific stage has shown to be most critical for this age group of 7 to 10 years old. That's why it is extremely important to inform coaches just like you who are beginning their career and who want to make a difference in young athletes' lives. It is so difficult due to constraints, coordination, and cognitive load. Constraints are restrictions of motor movements due to the limited potential solutions. Coordination involves the movement of segments relative to each other, and cognitive load involves the when and how of the use of motor skills.
The context-specific stage applies skills to different tasks, like sports, and introduces a cognitive load aspect. The context-specific stage incorporates fundamental patterns in a more advanced manner. Skills are unique to the individual and coincide with changes in cognitive capabilities. They are also promoted by family, friends, and culture. The acquisition of these skills is dependent on context-based knowledge and experiences. 2 important mediators are instruction and practice.
Great coaching can prepare young athletes for a potential future of skillfulness. By teaching you about constraints, cognitive load, and coordination, you'll be able to recognize all of the possible difficulties and challenges the athletes may come across. By understanding constraints that could potentially hold them back, you will be more observant to these signs and could help these young athletes. Also, you may recognize coordination skills they may need to work on or have to explain a skill or concept in a more simple manner if you can tell they are struggling to comprehend it. You will be able to see where improvement may be needed and what drills would be useful, whether it involves fundamental patterns or context-specific skills. Also, you as coaches will be able to observe the athletes and place them in an appropriate position where they would excel and enjoy. For example, an athlete who has good anticipation and quick thinking, as well as excellent coordination, but is not the fastest runner, may be best placed as a goalie in soccer.
Coaches may come across an athlete who has an anxiety about playing. A good coach would talk to them, comfort them, and make them feel confident, whereas a bad coach would not care about how they're feeling but would just want to get them on the court. Coaches, you should understand that all of the athletes may not understand the rules to a game like basketball. Instead of writing them off as a bad athlete and sitting them on the bench, explain to them that double dribbling is not allowed, as well as traveling. Coordination is an important aspect coaches need to understand. Good coaches break down each step. Like in basketball, feet should be shoulder width apart, you should bend your knees, have an arm at a 90-degree angle, shoot, and follow through. This sequence or order of steps is important to teach.
In the article, A Mindful Approach to Coaching Young Athletes, good coaches are described in various ways. Coaches tend to size up an athlete, trying to measure their potential, but good coaches recognize unique talents of each young athlete. Once aware of their talents, you as coaches should help develop them.
In the study titled Modeling Coaching Practice, The Role of Instruction and Demonstration, researchers initially examined theories and approaches in coaching, the process of skill acquisition of a particular sport. These were then contrasted to new discovery learning methods and current instructional coaching methods. Next, proposals were made to try and explain how pre-practice coaching informs the process of context-specific skill achievement. The study concluded by suggesting some practical ways coaches address their players. Some of these included, quote, demonstrations that are varied in content are recommended to engage observers in the learning process and to inform them of possible solutions to the motor problem, end quote.
The musculoskeletal system, or the body, imposes constraints throughout growth in adolescence. It is important to apply developmentally appropriate standards that can be used by coaches to introduce effective learning experiences and assess the player's progress. The key to successful motor performance or advancing to skill level is the ability to overcome any constraints that may face the athlete. This article suggests, quote, the solution is to identify talented youngsters on the basis of their potential to be the best players in the future, not their current ability.
I hope you coaches have learned a lot, because if you have, then your athletes will learn a lot and hopefully become skillful in a sport they have great potential in.